Oops, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Just thanks, Kenny.
Welcome and thank you for choosing freeconferencecall.com. You're helping people around the world communicate free. Please enter your access code followed by the pound or hash sign. If you are the host, press star now. Please enter your PIN. Thank you. You are the only participant in the conference. The recording has started. Please note that your storage is almost full.
Again?
Please log in and delete recordings or purchase more storage from your account.
We're having too long of meetings, I guess.
Obviously. Wes does make some great valid points here. I wonder if at some point we just give him the reins so that he can kind of go over these talking points, or this could be after we talk about the agreement at some time.
Well, and the other thing I think too, if we do have them put the infrastructure in, that has to go out to bid.
Right.
So that would mean that ATI would have to be the low bidder.
Right. And does the infrastructure include electric? Because a lot of that now is franchised where, you know, Mid-American, they all do it themselves and they come in and do it. But infrastructure would be what? Sewer, sanitary, sewer, water. I think that's what it would.
At some point, if it gets going, Windstream's got to wake up too,
Right?
Well,
because we're short on, well, you know that, or we do something different.
I was told that they're looking into updating Maxwell, Huxley, and Collins within the next year.
Oh.
And that, because I had my wires replaced in my house, and he says that I would be ready for the upgrade.
Well, that's good.
well, the other thing too is we have access to Starlink, and that phenomenal speed. Phenomenal. We have Windstream
Okay.
where I'm at, but Jerry and Heather have Starlink.
Mm-hmm.
The bank has Starlink.
Yeah.
And it's fast,
Great.
and there's little to no
I've heard
downtime.
good things, and I assume that that's the route that we've probably got. My husband's quite picky, but
Starlink is satellite,
Yep.
yeah.
and
And they say that even during snowstorms and windstorms, they don't have any issues.
Yeah.
And part of that is the satellite is heated, so if it snows,
Mhm.
it melts right off.
Cool.
And the satellite moves with the actual satellites itself in the sky.
Cool.
Isn't that crazy?
what the satellite dish moves with the satellite in the sky. The satellite in the sky isn't supposed to move, it's stationary.
Well, as the Earth moves.
As the world turns.
Well,
But stationary orbit means the satellite stays in one place above the Earth so that as the surface is turning, that satellite stays stationary above
the Earth.
the Earth.
Relative position.
Yes.
So I wonder if because I know it moves, because you can see Jerry's move throughout the day. I wonder if it's going from one satellite to the next as there's more
could
people
be.
that get on that
Could
band,
be.
because there's what, 10, I think, out there?
That certainly could be. Picking up the best reception.
Yeah.
So that the positions are pre-programmed in.
Did the TV screen work for you
Yes,
the whole time?
yes. Let's try using it again tonight.
send this to him. He must be coming in. Is he on vacation?
He's in Florida.
Oh.
I know he didn't take any of us with him.
Hey, Wes.
Hi, Wes.
Hello.
I like the Waltons.
That's
Everybody
easy.
say hi.
Huh?
I feel like the Waltons, everybody say hi.
As long as they say goodnight too.
Did you see on Google today, if you type in Betty White, it said, thank you for being my friend, and like rose petals from
Oh,
her.
so cool.
Is it supposed to be her birthday today?
It's her
Yes.
birthday
That's
today.
what I thought.
Almost 102, wasn't it?
Almost 100, wasn't it?
100
I think
today.
it was 100, yeah.
Oh, there it goes.
Megan.
It has budget night. Were you guys open today?
No. We did some work today. All day.
You just dressed up to come and see us.
I did. Yes, I did.
Have not heard anybody get on it.
Oh, yep, we're on here. This is Casey with HPI Group.
Oh, hey Casey, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Hey Ken.
Hey.
All right, we will go ahead and get started. I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call. Steve.
Yes.
I'll say Megan. Lauren.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
Ken.
Yeah.
All right, approval of agenda in front of you. You do have the agenda. Are there any additions, subtractions, corrections that need to be made?
Will we approve it?
Moved by Doug to approve.
Second.
Second by
Long
Steve.
meeting.
Discussion?
I'm trying to find the agenda.
Hearing none. Steve.
No, that's from-
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Megan.
Yes.
Doug.
Yes.
Ken.
Yeah.
Citizens Forum. Are there any citizens who wish to speak for anything other than what is on the current agenda? All right, item number 5, discussion with ATI on Rock Creek development. I believe we got Casey and Eric on the line, correct?
That's correct.
All right, we just have a few questions for you. And I believe those questions, you guys have those. So just because we got a new council member here, we kind of want to start at the very beginning. The first question that I have for you guys is pretty open-ended. What is the reason that you guys selected Maxwell to develop in?
That's a good question. So I have a great answer. A lot of this world that we live in is opportunity based, and there was an opportunity in Maxwell, and we looked into it. And after looking into it further, it seemed like something that we should continue to pursue. And just talking with some of our builder contacts about, would they be interested in doing some projects in Maxwell? And the answer was, yes, that they would look at it. And so when we continue to see interest, I guess
The next question I got is, so you guys are looking for a $650,000 grant paid for by the city for the infrastructure to be put in out there at Rock Creek Drive. In your guys' world, what does infrastructure mean? What does all that include for the $650,000?
Okay. Yeah. So the $650,000 is really a portion of the infrastructure to create the whole subdivision. So the way we would define that would be utilities that we are going to turn over to the city and dedicate to the city as public infrastructure. So that would be traditionally water, sewer, storm sewer, sanitary sewer pavement. Those items that would be then the city's infrastructure. Those would be the items that we would consider public infrastructure and that we would use the money for.
Does that also include electric?
Usually, so it's kind of a gray area. We've had it where it is, and typically that was a city utility when it becomes public infrastructure. But I would say most of the time, no. And it would be we would have to work with a franchise utility rather than the city of Maxwell's electric utility. Is that Alliant territory? I need to dig into this.
Alliant.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So when we've done subdivisions and communities with Alliant or Mid-American, that is typically an agreement we have directly with them.
Okay.
So that would not be considered public infrastructure.
Gotcha.
Let's expand on your answer a little bit. You said a portion of the infrastructure costs, and the infrastructure listed was water, sewer, and roads. So it's going to cost more than $650,000 to do the water, sewer, and roads.
Yeah, that's correct. That is correct. Yeah. So our total kind of development budget is, I believe we have. So we're going to be looking at, these are rough numbers, and so we're somewhat early on in this, but we'll have somewhere around a $1.5 million total cost, which would include land. So dollars of upfront cost for us.
You have a preliminary estimate on just what the infrastructure costs are in your budget?
We do. If I can get it quickly though.
By the way, this is Steve Gast asking the questions.
Okay. So roughly our infrastructure number, I have just shy of $900,000 of public infrastructure in my estimate. And I just want to reiterate, we're at the estimate phase. We are not at we don't have any bids. And we will need to, assuming that things continue to go forward, we will need to pin these numbers down and work with our contractors to see what we can get for numbers, but we're in the estimate phase.
Correct. I understand. Thank you.
Okay.
So then that kind of leads me to my next question. As far as risk goes, obviously there is a lot of risk on the city's side when it comes to giving a grant of $650,000. So I think you already mentioned that part of the risk on your guys' side is going to be a portion of that infrastructure. Is there any more risk that you guys have aside from that?
Yep. Yeah. So our development budget, it does include infrastructure, but it also includes, you know, a lot of we refer to them as soft costs, which, you know, that engineering, bonds, legal fees, accounting fees, soils information. We do end up, you know, working with private utilities with additional costs. We have, you know, items that have to be upkept throughout the project. And then, of course, land, interest, that sort of thing, that all gets built in.
Gotcha. Do you know approximately, I mean, if you sold the lots, and I think the agreement would be that you'd have to sell the lots, I think, at 50,000 or less, and we're talking, what, 27 lots out there?
I believe it's 28, and that's the price point that we're trying to target. You know, at this phase, we'd like to be able to be a little flexible while we pin down costs. That is what we're trying to hit.
Okay. So if the total cost is about approximately $1.5 million, and you got 28 lots out there times 50,000, are you guys ending up losing money on this then at 1.4 million?
Without the contribution and you know, incentive from the city, yes, it doesn't work.
Gotcha.
So then you end up, you know, the way to resolve that is obviously raise lot prices.
Gotcha.
And increase the revenue side, that's the challenge. Is you can do that, but you just slow everything down, and you know, you don't end up with as many buyers, and it just slows the pace down, and obviously the success of the project just lengthens it. It stretches it out.
Gotcha. So obviously Maxwell needs the housing here. One of the requirements that we were thinking about putting in the agreement would be that there would have to be 3 or 4 houses a year that are put up. Is that something that ATI thinks is doable?
Yeah, I think we would need to look at it, and so do I. We do think it's doable. We've I think we probably shared this with you, but we've spoken with several builders, and we have 3 who are pretty solid that yes, they would come and build a spec house in Maxwell. And so I do believe it's doable. I think that the number of homes built per year is gonna just be dictated by the success of our builders. So if they're selling them, they're going to continue to build.
Gotcha.
So I do, you know, I think we would need to look at the language of that and kind of what are, as far as, you know, if things slow down and there aren't any homes built for a year, what for us. But I think that it's something that we're willing to consider for sure.
Gotcha. Perfect.
I think it would be so. I think that's something we can consider.
Perfect. I think one of the big questions that's kind of on the council's mind, I'll go ahead.
Sewer and water. Question.
Oh, gotcha. One of the big questions that I think the council has, and I do as well, can you explain why sewer hookups would probably have to go on North Street instead of Rock Creek Drive?
Yeah, it's too shallow, and to make it work, we end up having to it can tie into Rock Creek Drive, but we would have to raise the profile of the road significantly, which requires us to bring in dirt, and it just be, you know, it makes the project pretty infeasible. one of your early recommendations was to work with Snyder and get a sewer study going, and I think we'll hold off on that just to kind of see where we're at, and if we're still for then we will engage them, but yeah, it's a depth issue, and that's kind of the tricky part of it.
Have you guys done any soil testing out there?
We have not yet. That would be definitely on our list to get done here quick moving forward. I think another term or another just kind of request or requirement that was brought forward was looping the water main around and tying it in, and that's a part of our plan. Plan to do that.
And my final question, I don't know about the councils. My final question is, do you have a complete list of contractors that you would be contracting this out to? And do you have a plan designer? If so, who is that?
Yeah, so we will use McClure Engineering. They do all of our subdivision design. As far as contractors, I can give you a list of the contractors we will go out for bid to.
Okay.
But we have a handful that we're really comfortable working with, and that's who we would take it out to bid to. But as far as who we will award the contracts to, we'll have to just see, how the numbers come in and who's got time in their schedule.
Gotcha. Okay. Council, do any of you guys have questions for Casey and Eric and the HPI Group?
This is Steve Gast. Have you worked with any other city that has been asked to front end development costs as we're doing? And are there contracts that our attorney can review to make sure, or to at least get his feet on the ground?
Yeah. Our best example, kind of a shining example, is Pella. We worked with Pella and Marion County, and we provided, we actually built 94 single-family lots in the city of Pella, and it was a partnership with the county and the city to make it all happen. And yeah, it was a great success. It's still moving forward, and we're having a lot of growth because of it. So absolutely, and I'd be happy to put you in contact with the folks who were involved in creating those agreements, if that would be helpful, or the city manager, city administrator that's in Pella. I think he'd be happy to have a conversation with you if that'd be helpful.
And my recollection when you discussed this with us earlier was that the city's contribution all came from city and county TIF revenue, didn't it?
That's correct.
Yeah, and our TIF is not going to be able to support a $600,000 expense, so it would not be coming from TIF revenue, and so the two aren't exactly the same.
Okay.
Something else, Steve? Or Lauren?
No, I'm good.
Wes, any questions from Snyder's side?
No, not really. I mean, I'm thinking engineering side. I think I might, the sanitary issue. Took a look back at the the original plans, and there's a discrepancy in elevations with the tie-in. So if it's all right with you to contact, who would it be at McClure to contact about that? I just want to make sure that our information that they're basing this off of is the right stuff, and verify that, because that will make a difference whether it can go to the south or not.
Sure. Jake Becker, and I do have your contact information.
Okay.
I'm happy to share his contact with you.
Yeah, just send it to me, and I'll just send them an email and make sure that everybody's on the same page on that, just to make sure that.
You mean it was, when it was installed, it wasn't installed according to design?
Well, it's possible. It happens occasionally.
No. Surely not.
But I also know that sometimes surveyors can find the wrong pipe in the hole too, and so it might be worth checking. But McClure will be able to answer that or help us out on that. So.
This is Doug Miller. I've got a question as well. You said you would consider some type of an agreement that has a minimum number of houses per year. Does consider mean willing to put that in writing as part of the contract agreement?
Oh, absolutely. We would. I guess what I'm saying is, we would absolutely be willing to review and consider what the terms are. Just we would just need to know what we're signing up for. I guess what type of penalties would be in place if something were to happen and all of a sudden the market now won't support 3 houses per year to be built in Maxwell. And so I guess we would just need to be able to review what that proposal would look like and be able to. But yeah, the goal would be for whatever is decided to be in writing and in our agreement and very up.
Ken, do you have anything for ATI?
No.
I was gonna
Okay.
say, or he's talking
Yeah,
with
yeah,
his
yeah.
mute on. That would be more my guess.
Well, Casey and Eric, I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to meet with us. I know some of these were some pretty pressing questions that myself and the council had. We will review everything, and we might reach back out to Amy to see what that development agreement will look like, and if that's the route we go, we'll make sure that we get that sent off to you.
Okay, sounds great. And then, one of the things that I wanted to ask was just regarding timeline and kind of how things would move forward. Is it all right if we just follow up with you, Jameson, on timing and what we should expect going forward?
Absolutely.
Okay, very good.
Do you have a proposal on timing, or what are you thinking?
No, I don't necessarily have a proposal. We just have terms in our purchase agreement. We haven't closed on the property just yet, and we have terms in our purchase agreement that we'll just need to communicate with the seller depending on what the timing of a decision would be.
And then as far as if we go this route and we get the purchase agreement signed or the development agreement signed, how long before you guys start on construction?
Yeah, so we have a preliminary plat, I believe, prepared, and that's kind of realized that or what we believe is a snafu in the sanitary elevations. So we have a good start, but we'll need to get some approvals in place. I think we're probably still early enough in the year that we could start, relatively quick in the spring. Maybe it ends up being June, but we would like to start, assuming that we can come to an agreement. We would like to start as soon as possible, and it would be, right away in the spring if we could.
Okay. Perfect. Do you guys have any other questions for us? Oh, hold on just a second.
Jameson, I had one thought. The development agreement, is that something that ATI is looking to put together and propose to the city, or is that something you need the city to draft up to start that, all the paperwork and the details?
Yeah, I think, so in other communities we've done this in, it's been, you know, the city's bonding attorney, has helped with that or has proposed something. And so I think, is it dollars? Is it Amy
It's
that represents?
yeah, we have been using Amy.
Okay.
My one issue with that is obviously we went from 6 acres to now 12 acres, and so the monetary amount that we have to pay Allers is going up quite significantly. So I want to make sure that if the council, and we can discuss it at a later time, but if this council is okay with going that route, we want to make sure that we have everything in place so we don't keep going to Amy and Dorsey and racking that bill up even higher than it already is.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Anything else? Eric, Casey, do you have anything else for the council?
I don't think so.
Well, again, I appreciate you guys calling in, taking the time out of your day, and we will be in touch soon.
Okay. Thank you guys for your consideration, and let us know if you have any questions.
Absolutely. Thank you. Council, do you have any more discussion on that, or do you wish to move to item 6?
Were we, and I say we, I wasn't here, but unaware of any infrastructure risks that ATI would have prior to today?
I wasn't aware because they made it
That
sound like
makes sense.
What risk? What do you mean?
Well, the 650,000 that the city would be covering, it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I heard wrong, there will be a portion that ATI will be risking because it's
Yes.
a total of 900,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so that,
I think they mentioned that, and I was aware of that they had the fact that they have risk in it from earlier meetings. I couldn't remember whether, I think the number mentioned was about $1 million. They're saying 900,000 now as an engineering estimate. It's hard to say
right,
what the actual number will be.
Which includes the purchase of the property though, too,
No.
right?
No,
No.
1.5 million
1.5
included the
included it.
1.5
purchase of the
included that.
property and doing all the
Trying to write that down.
electrical installation, working with the private utilities,
Grading is often in there too.
bond, soil testing, all that other stuff. Their total development budget was 1.5 million. They're expecting to get 1.4 million out of the sale of lots, which leaves them in the deficit of about 100,000. But they're asked, which is part of the reason why they're asking us to help out with the infrastructure, paying about 2/3 of the cost of the infrastructure, which makes their profit margin about $500,000.
and in the end, it's our capital
it's
asset.
our asset, yeah.
Any other discussion on that? Ken, do you have anything that you want to talk about as far as the development goes?
No, nothing.
Okay, thank you.
I think the biggest concern is how do we legally spend our money if we are asked to do that, because in reading Wes's note, you set it up as a TIF district, and the TIF district is supposed to pay for the infrastructure then it's only paying for about $300,000 worth of infrastructure. And the other 600,000 be coming out of city contributed funds. Does that mean we are the ones contracting to put the infrastructure in and they're paying us to put in $900,000 worth of infrastructure? Are we jointly doing something with them and
I think
paying the contractor directly, or?
I think, yeah, that would put a kind of a hindrance in things, wouldn't it? Because if we did it jointly with them, then our stuff would have to go out for bid, right?
If the city contracts for the work, you're subject to public bidding laws, right?
And so how does this work?
So the development agreement, the way I understand it from my conversations pursuant to this with our development team, is development agreement, we're not aware, and obviously you'll have to check with your legal counsel, but the limits of the development agreement is just limited to your ability as a council to spend money. There's not any, TIF district has their own set of rules, right? Or the TIF program has its own set of rules you have to follow, you have to do it certain ways. But a development agreement, it's a custom, if you will, it's not, there's no legal code that accounts for other than just the limits of what you have the authority to do as a council or as a city. So I don't think a reimbursement thing, that'd be something to check out with your legal counsel, whether the reimbursement could be viewed as a circumvention of public bidding laws. For the, like, say if you said, well, developer, you put the utilities in, we'll pay you so that we don't have to bid the project for public improvements. I don't think you could, it's possible that it could be computed as a circumventing of public bidding laws, but if the property is not the city's yet, because developers put in utilities all the time and then deed it over to the city and the developer pays their contractor and it's not a circumvention. So I don't know how that would be viewed. It'd be worth checking into. Now, if it was a direct reimbursement, like the contractor paid the contractor and then submitted you guys the bill, and then you reimbursed them the contractor's bill directly, which would protect you on the a little bit as far as the initial outlay and making sure that the funds are used for the work being done. That might get a little dicey. Again, check with your legal counsel, because now you're directly connecting your payments to the work, which could be viewed as a circumvention of the public bidding laws.
I know Amy, the last phone call I had from her is she's like, I don't think that they would do it, but you may want to talk to them about possibly doing what is called TIF rebate, and the fact that you only start paying them that money once TIF money starts coming in.
Right, which is normally how the TIF program works in development agreements. Is the agreement, the developer front loads the development, they finance the improvements, and then the city reimburses or pays them according to a schedule in the development agreement, based on the estimated incremental finance growth or incremental funding growth from the TIF district. A certain, so like if you're going to pay them back in the agreement $650,000, you pay that $650,000 as you expect that TIF money to come in. If that makes sense. So you get that TIF money to you, it goes into a separate account, then you pay the developer out of that account. So sometimes that can be 2 years before the developer sees any money. By the time the houses get built, gets on the tax roll, the taxes are collected, because it's based on the actual revenue from the taxes. That's how I understand
But
it.
are we going to get $650,000 in TIF?
No,
We're short on that.
we'd only get what?
Yeah, I don't know what the,
Kind of depends on whether they're building 4 houses a year, 5 houses a year.
what do you know? Has anybody done the numbers on what the total tax growth might be in the area if once all 28 houses are built out?
Did you bring that with you?
I didn't bring it. I knew you'd have it on your computer.
Well, I'll see if I have it on my computer.
The other side to that too, if we got $300,000 from the TIF, we have the other funding, which I still got to get in writing from Amy, that is already sitting in the TIF account for that area for $100,000. So there's $400,000, and then the ARP grant, which was another $135,000. But still, that still leaves you short.
And that TIF account that you have now, that is for this area?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's based on the urban rural district you have to set up. So, okay. Another thing to consider when you're talking about TIF is the state of where the city's at on current tax abatements.
We have, I believe, maybe it's 2023. The tax abatement expires, the 5-year 100% tax abatement expires, I believe, in 2023.
Okay, because obviously that's counter to any kind of TIF, because TIF is based on increased revenue. So if you're not getting taxes off of it because you're abating it, you're not putting any money into your TIF.
The district says that if they're getting TIF money, then they can't get the other.
Right. Yeah, and they do that because it counteracts each other. Technically, I don't know if you could or not. Maybe they would let you, but you just would have to longer pay off.
Did I understand that right? So no abatement for anyone who's in the.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I mean, that makes sense.
If we're using TIF money,
Yeah.
Got it.
And the school and the county would also lose revenue, property tax revenue, if we TIF it?
No. What you get out of the TIF is after all the other
what was your
property
question?
taxes.
Is the school impacted or the county or anybody else impacted if we put a TIF?
Absolutely.
Well, I thought so too.
I didn't think they were because
As soon as you do a TIF district, then the city collects all the money from
I think it's
all taxing districts.
the way I understand it is it's a portion of it. It's you basically set your baseline right now. Okay, what you're getting now for taxes. If ag land, you're getting $10,000. Then you set that as your baseline, and then from that area, what revenue comes in goes through the county's formula. This person gets theirs, this person gets theirs, and whatever percentage you would get goes to you after school and all that. I could be wrong, but that's how I understood it to be.
When Tiana analyzed this, she used the TIF rate of $29.97,778, which is everything.
Everything. Okay, I could be wrong. Yeah, I think you'd want to confirm that, but
yeah.
But now
That's the way it's always been, as far as I know,
Yeah.
unless they changed the law.
Yeah, and I don't know that.
And which those idiots
It would-
do occasionally.
It would be worth checking on because that could make a big swing in what you see in TIF. But to your point, Doug, the school wouldn't see any change in what they're receiving now. They just wouldn't see an increase until the TIF was all spent up.
Yeah. Okay, so it'd be ag land as far as they're concerned.
It would be ag land as far as they're concerned, which is what it is today.
So
So,
they could
so
see potential increase if, a big if families moved in.
Would you allow me to Chromecast?
Absolutely.
So what the school would have to deal with is they're going to see an increase in students from the new families, but not an increase in budgeting, other than just the general county's outlay of whatever tax revenues come in.
Right.
From the development until the TIF has met its term, and then after that, everything goes to the city, and you can do with it what you
Which would be
will.
11 years or so, right? The minimum of
I think the TIF term is negotiable. I think you can
It's
change it.
11, but it can go up to 16, but you have to have the city or the school district and county sign off on it.
And that's probably why, because they're seeing a reduction, and yeah, it makes sense.
Well, and the spreadsheet. Okay, this is what Tiana did for us, and I redid because her years, she did this like 2 years ago, and so I just updated it for the years. And build 2 houses a year. At the end of 11 years, we bring in $456,000. I also made it so that I could.
What's that based on value-wise per lot?
Well, each house is $300,000.
Okay.
And that'll be in the agreement too, that they have to assess that. That mark.
And for some reason, it's not allowing me to. It looks like it's a PDF instead of a spreadsheet.
Is that Excel thing on the middle of the bottom that says open? If you click it there, will that?
I don't know. By George,
Hi, George.
technology. You gotta love it.
Darn
There you
thing.
So if we change it to 4 houses a year, then at the end of 11 years, there's $837,000 that came in through TIF. That of that though, we can spend $443,000 because the rest of it is low and moderate income. So
You can spend on this project. The rest of it has to be spent elsewhere. Is that how that works?
Yeah, low and moderate income. It has to benefit low and moderate income
Right.
people.
Yeah, so what?
And
you
so
had talked about.
if we got approval from the school district to and the county to extend this to a 16-year, then there would be 715,000, and so the developer would get the full 600,000 back, plus a little, whether or not they would be interested in doing that. Of course, if you have more houses, then it's faster. Oh, and this also just does 27 houses, not 28. So 5 houses a year and 28 houses means that you have 500,000 after 11 years and a total of 800,000 if it's extended. So they almost get the 600,000 back.
And like we talked about this earlier, Wes, that LMI could be used for. We've had several people say that their sewer rates are too high, water rates are too high.
Maybe use the offset rates.
They can be used opposite rates, yeah.
As long as they're low and moderate income.
They'd have to apply every year, and obviously that.
Oh,
dollar
you
amount-
got like a rebate program or
Yeah.
a reimbursement subsidy program.
And that amount, that yearly amount would change depending on how many houses were built.
Mhm.
2 years ago, 3 years ago, I guess, because since we pay taxes in arrears.
Sure.
Yeah, there can be a 2-year time difference between when the houses are built and when the tax money comes in.
So doing a TIF rebate program ties the developer to periodic payments throughout the 11 years.
Yep.
Is what that comes in. Can the city pay themselves back? If you outlay out front, can the TIF be used to backfill the city's expenditure?
Yes, because debt is debt, as far as the TIF district is concerned. And so if we had a legal debt, then we would be able to take that money and reimburse ourselves. And the question is whether or not we would have a legal debt. I mean, they want us to give them 600,000.
I'm assuming you would fund that with a GO bond or somehow.
Can't, because we're at our limit.
We're at your limit. Okay. But yeah, okay.
So, we could just write them an IOU maybe. I don't know.
Wooden nickel.
On a post-it note.
Yeah.
In crayon.
So there's lots of questions, and Amy certainly might be the one to answer some of these as the bonding attorney. Maybe our regular attorney might have perspective as to what a city can legally do and not do. He's an attorney for quite a few small towns and medium-sized towns. I think he's attorney for Newman.
It would be interesting to still see their Pella agreement, because it sounded like in that agreement they were paid up front, maybe. Because he said similar. Now the city may have paid it through TIF, but if they paid them up front, the city probably was doing the backfill.
When they explained it to us before, that's the way it was.
Okay.
I think I have that. I will, yep, it's right here. Let me forward it to you, Wes. It's coming your way. There's a PDF in there called Prairie Ridge FDA. The other one is TIF payback, but it's clear back from December 2020. So. Anything else on that item? If not, we will move on to everybody's favorite party, the budget party.
Thank you, Wes. I
Yeah, thank
appreciate
you. Whatever you need on this or anything else, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm assuming you don't need me for the rest of this.
Unless you
Unless you want to
stay.
stay. It's a lot of fun.
You know, as much fun as I know you guys are looking
Stick
for.
around.
I mean, what would you rather? Would you rather go home to a crying baby or sit here? And your...
Actually, I go back to the office and work until my boy needs to get picked up from basketball at 9 o'clock. So I'm kind of hosed either way.
First thing we have to do is establish our numbers for putting in the maximum tax rate for public hearing, which will be at our next council meeting. And all the tax rates that we had listed were already at their max. However, we have two items that are not at their max, and that is benefits and insurance. And that's two of the worksheets that we have on us tonight. Doug and I met and with Tony and Chris and talked to them about the distribution of their hours and what licenses they're going to have in this next year. So instead of being 50% sewer, 50% water, the Doug and I's recommendation is that we look at 10% road, 50% sewer, 40% water for Tony. That Chris, the 90% general instead of 100% general, and 10% on roads. They go out there and they clean inlets and do patches and all kinds of other things. So this more closely represents their real time. Deb stays 100% general. Dee does do about 10%. She's doing planning, zoning, board of adjustment, parks and open space. And so the other 90% would be split evenly, sewer and water. The extra sewer drops out this year. Parks extra, 100% general. Roads extra, that's snow plowing. That's 100% roads. And then everything else comes out of the general. We have a librarian, assistant librarian, a part-time librarian, a fire chief, EMS chief, mayor, and council. Anybody have any questions or alternate suggestions for the work distribution? Hearing none, you go down to what does all this mean? Well, for each individual, I'm showing their current hourly salary Tony is 26, 29. He spends 2,080 hours of pay. We have traditionally allowed 100 hours of overtime. It shows as 150 because it's time and a half. And I put in COLA at 4% and a flat increase of $1. That's because Tony will be upgrading his license in order to be able to manage our current sewer system, our sewage treatment plant, and the council has allowed $1 increase per hour for those for that type of license. That would make Tony's license $28.34, or his hourly wage $28.34. It would be split between road, sewer, water for a total of salary of $63,200, up rounded to the nearest $100 or $10. And then each person, the math works out the same. If anybody wants to suggest something other than a 4%, or whether somebody should be getting a merit increase because of the outstanding work they've done, we can put those numbers in. What you get out of all this is at the bottom of the second page, which is a total general fund employee benefit of $18,948, which converts into a tax rate, which would be published, and it would be part of the hearing. If we change anything above, which we can, it's just a spreadsheet, then that number changes. Deb?
Yes.
On your preliminary, what did you have for a amount of money to be raised in taxes? Was I close on that 18,900? I think, if I remember correctly, you had a little bit less.
I had 19,045.
So about the same. I have 18, you have 19. I have almost 19. You have 19, right at 19.
Yeah.
So we can go with the 19 number and publish it. We can always tax less, can't tax anymore. Does anybody want to make any changes to merit COLA or flat rate at this time? Or just go with this and then make a decision as part of the budget, whether it's going to be less. What this does is authorizes the mayor to, well, if it's COLA, there's just going to be cost of living allowance.
Is that running at 4% now? I didn't think it was that high.
The nation, I just looked it up. Obviously, the state of Iowa tends to be lower.
The last one I saw was 7% for 1 month. So
yeah, the nationwide one from 21 to 22 was 5.8. And obviously, the state of Iowa, like I said, is typically lower than the nation. So I think that's probably about right. The we've done merit increases in the past, but this year I think is going to be hard because of that cost of living increase. So I think it's, I mean, 4% is pretty.
That's a high number, yeah,
It,
yeah.
When I was getting cost of living increases, given this has been 5-10 years ago, it was at 2%. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's where.
yeah, and there's no way around that. I don't think. I mean,
No.
unless you want to give both merit increase and COLA, but
My
our
background
budget is
Merit increase is for outstanding service, and it's different than COLA.
My background, excuse me, because that's what I'm drawing from, school setting, 80% of your expenses are staff related compared to this. So I did ask Deb to give me some numbers, and I sent an email out today, but looking at a 2-year increase of over 30% in salary and benefits, or salary alone, as that would be, seems pretty significant to be a 2-year jump for the total revenue or total expenses that we have. And I just want to point that out. I don't know what it means. I see the overtime also, and I've kind of played with projections of what it would be. We've got almost $10,000 in overtime this year that potentially could be expended. By adding staff, part of my thought in doing that would be that we could reduce significant amounts of overtime by having a full-time person instead of part-time. And you know, everybody's doing a good job, but I'm just looking at total dollars.
Don't we have, isn't everybody full-time now?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But we went from part-time with previous staff, where we had, Paul and Doug or whoever, to full-time. And that's where the comparison, we actually probably went down in salary per person for that part-time person, whether it was Doug to Chris's numbers, but yet we still went up 30-some% over 2 years. So
I think that's because the last 2 years, haven't we only had a part-time person in that position?
right, but by going to full-time at a lesser hourly rate.
Well, if you ignore that position, you just look at like Tony. Tony's been the same for, or has been around all 4 years. And so if you're looking at Tony in 20, 54,800. Fiscal year 21 had an extra
week, so that's why I went with 2 years.
And so
This year he's on pace to be right at 60, 59.9. If I doubled what the 6-month number was.
And okay, so from about 55 to 60, that's a 10% increase over 2 years, right?
Mhm.
A little bit less than 10%.
And part of that's the dollar, correct? The dollar increase because of the licensing.
Well, didn't he already have that licensing in fiscal year 20?
Is that what he did? Yeah.
So, but with our sewer upgrade, Deb, what grade level is he at right now? Is he a grade level 2?
He's a grade 1. He has to get a grade 2.
Okay. So with our new sewer system, will he not have to go up to at least a 3 or a 4?
No, he has to go up to a 2.
Okay.
Which is why there's only $1 for a flat increase on him, because one license from a 1 to a 2.
Okay.
Now, Chris, on the other hand, is a 0,
Right.
and he's got to get to a 1, and he also has to get his applicator's license, and that's 50 cents traditionally from the council. but he's not gonna get it all, by, July 1.
Mhm.
So he'll get the 50 cents, and partway through the year, he should get, the applicator one, so for part of the year, he'll get $1, that extra $1, and, most of the year, you'll get the extra 50 cents, so I just did $1.
Mhm.
So,
But this is 2023, so won't he have to have his grade level 2 by then? Because eventually, don't we want him to have the same grade level as Tony, so that when Tony is gone?
yes, and he'll be, but it's going to take at least 2 years to get to that grade level 2. Because classes are only offered at certain times, and it
You have
takes
to have-
testing and it takes experience in operating before you can go to the next level. So it'll probably be in the following fiscal year that he'll get to grade level 2.
And I was told that you have to hold a, number 1 license for a certain amount of time before you can move on to a level 2. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's correct. But you certainly heading in that direction, yes.
Yeah, I think it's 18 months, and then you can have your grade level 2. I mean, not that you have to have your grade level 1 in order to get to your 2, but anytime after that 1, within 18 months you can get, or after 18 months you can have your grade level 2.
It's at least a
So
year
then
and a
that
half.
would be 23.
After July 23.
Probably.
So that would be fiscal year 24.
If I look at Dee and I look at Deb and I look at Tony, from 20 to 22, they all look like a little bit less than 10% increase over 2 years. Right?
Mhm.
Which is, there was some merit increase in that time period.
Yep.
And there was some cost of living allowance increase. So now this is the best shot in the dark we have, but we have to make a decision, and I would say that having these numbers, having it published at 19,000 whatever, makes it so that when we get to a point of balancing the budget, and if we have to come back and reduce some of this, then at least we've indicated a maximum tax rate. We can always go down, can't go up.
Deb, you good with that? It's gonna be the one affecting you the most
Sure.
in this room. isn't it?
I really wanted 5, but you know.
5%? Let's just go with 10. Another 10% will
But,
affect
Or 20.
had a lot
Well-
of complaints this year.
you.
We can put a 1% merit in there, and if the mayor feels that any employee merits the increase, then it would be available.
I mean, what's the harm of doing that? Nothing, right? Because you can.
Unless the number is anticipated, if it's on the schedule to.
Well,
Not
budget,
necessarily anticipated. I mean, you would still have to do a review at the end of the year.
if we did that,
You must be by the ocean.
Just everybody be
Waves
quiet, I wanna
laughing
hear
at
it.
you.
If we did that, then that would change the, general fund to 19,096.
Is that what you had?
That's what she had.
Mm-hmm.
Had 19045,
Oh,
so close.
Change it,
Okay,
19096.
1909.
Yeah.
6.
And merit is only given if there's merit. And that's up to the mayor and then for the council to approve.
And I
Mayor to
will,
recommend and council to approve.
I'll have at least one council member with me that I do reviews this year.
Now, the librarian and the librarian assistant, I'm showing at 4% also. All we've been asked is that their budget be the same or slightly more. They've given us no budget numbers, so I would say leave it at 4%. And because whatever we give them, they can move around however they want.
They said slightly more.
They don't have to,
Or the same.
they don't
And
have
they don't want to bring us
to.
numbers.
I mean, this $8,860 for the librarian, they could give her more salary and use the money out of one of the other line items. So I'd say let's leave it at that. Insurance, tab is the other, tax rate that we have to set, right, Deb?
Yes.
And
They're said estimated 9% increase.
Yes.
which I show on the chart as 109% because it's,
Okay,
100% plus 9%.
gotcha. Okay.
one of those math people.
Do we need to up that in case it comes in over 9%? To like 115? Because I'm trying to think of what, when I was at the school, the rate of increase was, I think, 11%, 11 or 13%. I just hate for it to be us put in 9% and they come through at 11% and then we're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, what do you do? The agent said 9%, so
Okay.
we can, guess it's gonna be, 100, if you'd say 10 or 11%, which means the tax rate will show more. And if it comes in, less, then, how does that work, Deb?
What?
When are we going to really know what we're going to be charged on insurance next year? 'Cause-
Not till next May,
So,
April.
so April, by the time April comes around, the tax rate's already been set.
Right.
And we would be collecting money at that higher tax rate. If they come in with a lower insurance bill, then we only transfer as much as we need to spend. And so the excess stays in there for calculation next year.
That's what I've been told, but it could change anytime.
And have we had any extra?
We've had very little, dollars.
Okay. Want to do 111%?
We can do 110. I don't want to tax anybody more than we need to. Make it a round number. We make everything else round numbers, don't we?
So the general fund would be $29,430. Is that about what you had?
I had 23, a little over 23.
I think we need to. What changed this year is we have more for the sewer plant. The percentage that goes to sewer plant went up, and City of Maxwell share on fire and EMS went up relative to the two townships. We picked up 1% in the allocation. So maybe that's our difference. I think you need to show 29,430.
Okay.
Now, is there anything else we absolutely have to do tonight other than those two things?
No, that should be it.
Okay.
Because the rest of them are all maxed.
So do we need a motion to go forward with the publication with those numbers?
No, because you made a motion last week to include, subject to the change in.
Great. So that moves us on to the next set of pages. We met with the fire department, or met with the township and the fire department.
How was the township response?
Very aggressive. They wanted us to budget more than what we thought going into it in a couple areas, but it makes sense. And
what was the reason?
I
Get more involvement.
Get more involvement.
Yeah, on the EMS side, a significant increase. The allocation page is all based on calls and population. On the fire side, the city of Maxwell is going down 1%, Washington Township's going up 1%, and Indian Creek is staying the same. On the EMS side, because we had a whole raft of calls in Maxwell. Maxwell's going up 3%, Indian Creek's going down 2%, and Washington Township's going down 1%. You know, we had like 106 calls in the city of Maxwell, which is almost double what we've had in the past, half again as much as we've had in the past.
How was the response to that?
Well,
the EMS.
They understood. Let's just go to the EMS budget. They wanted to increase the payment to others to $18,000. Our current budget is 6,000, so they're increasing it by a factor of 3. And the reason they want to do that is they say these are not volunteers. It is reimbursement for paid on-call staff and the city of Cambridge. And with the heightened skills that are needed on EMS nowadays, they're not just going there and helping somebody into an ambulance. They're going there and they're doing real life-saving. They've got to have more training, and they would like to up the reimbursement for the paid staff and from the, do you remember what it is currently, Doug? Ken, are you still on?
$10 per call.
$10 a call, and they want it to go up to
50?
it was pretty significant.
Yeah.
50.
Yep.
And they also want to buy a piece of equipment yet this year that
The Suburban.
that would save lives.
No, the Lucas.
Automatic chest compression.
Lucas.
Lucas, yeah.
Yep.
Lucas device.
Is there a way, Ken just texted me, is there a way that you can email him this budget?
Yes. I have Ken's email address.
Perfect.
Let's see. He wants it right now, I suppose.
Probably.
Let's see if I can do this without completely destroying everything.
Do you want me to send it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you would, please. Let's see. Everything else, they're upping the training from 2,000 to 10,000 because they're going to have additional EMS people, and the training costs have gone up. Vehicle repair, they've gone from about $1,000 to $3,000 because the vehicles one of the vehicles doesn't work at all, and the other vehicle,
So it's got a flat tire right now.
Got 2 flat tires.
and it's got other problems too. The most of the other things look like they pretty much stayed the same. They
Did they talk about, because I heard somebody when I ran into him last week say that they wanted to buy a Suburban and get rid of the 2 ambulances?
Yes, they talked about that, and we told them that there is cash available in their trust account, and also cash available from Washington Township. So if they wanted to buy a Suburban, we would probably be able to do that and do like we do with the pickup, pay ourselves back over a period of time.
Is that something that doesn't need to be put in the budget? It's just something that we repay ourselves and do a budget amendment for? Or is there even a budget amendment?
Yeah, there would be a budget amendment.
There would have to be a budget amendment unless we put it in next year's budget, but what would we, I mean, how much is a Suburban gonna cost?
For a
Municipality, probably around 30 to 40,000, and then you gotta equip
And
it.
equipment, be another.
Yeah,
10 or
I
15.
wouldn't change this proposed budget because the township trustees have already agreed to this budget.
Okay, perfect.
And so it would be a budget amendment.
Okay.
This budget, goes from, what, 33,000 to 54,000, so about a 50% increase.
It's kind of a highlight, I guess, for us as a council that we're upping our budget for emergency services here in town. I think that's a great thing.
I think it's great.
That's a plus.
It's a big plus.
Deb also handed out a legislative link and highlighted,
Something I want to read, yes.
Awesome.
and the legislature is considering comprehensive tax reform and the Senate made it clear that the proposer will trigger, two ways that this could occur. First, Iowa could increase the state sales tax. That ain't gonna happen.
No.
The second would be to remove local option sales and service tax that currently cities get. We, about $60,000, between $40,000 and $60,000 of the local option sales tax is used to support city services. If it's removed, then we would have to cut city services by about $40,000 to $60,000.
I will, setting up a meeting with Teresa Greenfield with the USDA. That's gonna be a hot topic on that, so.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be a hot topic from all cities. And the Senate, my experience is the Senate doesn't really care. They're out there to lower taxes. So, and they'll do it on the backs of the cities before they'll do it on their own backs. So it's something that we need to watch carefully.
From the state.
Yeah.
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 So EMS, fire, we skipped over, the fire was pretty much, the same, followed normal practices, $59,000 versus 54. So it's about a 10% increase. When we, at some point before March 1st, we have to take all the requests and balance the budget. All we're doing right now is throwing things at the wall, saying, gee, people want this, people want that.
It stinks.
Yeah. Library. We don't have anything other than the request that it'd be nice if it was the same as last year or a little bit higher.
I would keep it the same.
So we just want to put in the same dollar amounts as last year. Who's the chair of the library?
Teresa Allen.
No, the council.
Lauren.
I believe that's it.
Lucky you.
So Lauren, what would you like to do?
Lauren.
Everybody,
Well-
this is Lauren Myers.
Thanks, Mayor. I think everyone else did an awesome job at getting their groups together and spending time and effort and collaboration between budgets and actually collaborated and had communication. honestly, I kind of find this disappointing. But
I certainly want to give an increase.
I would say,
This is the second year they haven't given us a budget.
Exactly.
this is the second year, Deb.
Yes,
Did they give this kind of format last year?
They
didn't give us anything.
anything last
Anything,
year.
no.
They didn't
We-
even give us a letter.
I guess.
Well, she thinks, can I make a comment?
Yeah,
Even though I am not a
Yes,
chair or
yes.
a co-chair or vice chair or anything else. I am just looking at their numbers here of their budget. What they were budgeted, what they've expended so far. And if you look at it, so you take the 15,681.58 and double it, they're still under $2,500. $2,500 isn't much, but it could sure go to another group that has done their numbers, that did get together and meet, that could use that money for a lot of their small projects just as well.
Well, and
If you're saying that if you take the
681,
15,681, double it, that's
Mhm.
30,
1,
31,
200.
Yep.
3.
sure. It was
Uh,
2,496.84 to be exact,
Okay,
that they
so
are.
there's 2,000.
Mhm.
Okay. If I take all the same numbers
Mhm.
that they had in last year and put them in the proposed, you can see up there that instead of 33,860, it'd be 34,130 because of the increase in salaries. The 4% increase. And so what you're saying is, reduce their budget someplace by a couple thousand?
Well, if you look at their salaries, for instance, if you take that number that they have expended so far and double it, that's 1,495.36 less. And then the other really disappointing thing to me, library materials.
Well, this has also been a COVID year, so.
Well, but library materials shouldn't matter. That should be their books, their DVDs, the things that they're purchasing to.
But
That's not their count as far as how many people have come in.
it's the new
That's
stuff.
how many new books they have
And if
purchased.
they've been closed, wouldn't we expect them to be purchasing less? Because people can't come in to get it?
But they were able to come get it.
Oh.
They absolutely were.
Monday is the only.
They
day
had to
that's
do it by
closed.
appointment.
Well, and I take my, I guess, comments back before I say that. Is this something that I could have done with them, or should have reached out and offered my assistance or my, before I say that, should I have done this with them?
I
Usually a goad helps, but
believe it would have helped. Is it your responsibility? No. That's why they have a library board and a Friends of the Library board.
Correct.
And a director that knows that this is due every year around this time.
well, we can,
I sent that sheet to the whole board.
right,
Well,
Right.
and, maybe they want to, the Friends of the Library Board is trying to spruce up the library and do all these things. And, if you budget, are they aware of the capital fund that, later in the budget year that money could go towards, are they aware of all of that? If they do budget their money correctly, if they do,
I mean, I think all that starts out when you actually come to a board meeting,
okay.
That
So
and,
if you're-
and
Lack of,
And can I just say too, as being a director at one time, you have the state at your disposal, and the state has resources and continuing ed for the director and even librarians if they want it. And all of that teaching and education tells you, exactly at this time what to be doing, to go to your city council and to have your numbers ready so that you can have your budget and to spend every last penny, no matter what it's on in that library.
Right.
So that you can show that, yes, you deserve every penny and more.
Mhm.
So to me, I mean, it's laziness.
And I hate to say it because I love this town, but these are the same folks that can't even give us a phone bill or internet bill in on time.
Well, if we don't want to increase their budget any, instead of $9,500 on library materials, we can go down 9,230. That gives exactly the same budget. If we want to lower it by another couple thousand, we certainly could do that.
I don't want the library to go away. We need the library, but at the same time, I feel like they need to take it seriously, and they need to realize they're a vital part of this community too, and they are providing a service to this community that is necessary, and therefore they need to take it seriously, and they need to get us numbers in order to continue to have a budget as they wish.
So is there
Consensus?
a suggestion in there?
Does taking that away though make them give up more?
It might make them rearrange their necessities to put them in places that we want to see them more.
I mean, this is the same exact conversation we had last year.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
It's
Well,
very,
we did.
I'm very passionate about the library.
Do you go there a lot?
I do.
You do?
And I like the library. I want the library to thrive.
I want her to be librarian again.
Well,
I don't want
they've
that.
had
I
some
just,
great kids programs,
They
and
do. They
summer
offer
activities.
A
so-
lot of great summer projects
Yeah.
and they are getting more involved. They've got the soup chili cook-off. Is that this weekend?
Yeah.
Good Lord. I'm in it.
20.
no, this coming weekend, the 22nd. It's the 22nd.
Is that already the?
It's this
Yes,
week.
this
yeah.
weekend.
This week.
Oh, God.
The,
I know that they're struggling with participation for Friends of the Library. And I know everyone, gets gung-ho and they get a lot of people interested and they say, oh, here's an idea, here's an idea. Well, then there's only like one or two people that can push that idea along. Now, I'm not making any excuses whatsoever, but we could either keep it the same, lower it. Maybe that will light a fire in their
That's
pants.
what I keep hoping that,
Light
but
that
I don't
fire.
know.
I don't know.
I would say if we're gonna do anything, leave it the same budget as last year.
Yeah, that's
I
what I would
think
say.
what's gonna happen is if you lower it, there's gonna be even more bad community reception.
Right.
from
I think
that.
there'll be animosity because of it.
I don't think we should raise it, because they haven't done their due diligence on their side.
so show $9,230 under library materials, bring everything else over the way it is, and that then should add up to $33,860.
Yes.
Got it. Parks. Do we expect park rental,
Do I get to speak
the
again?
shelter rent?
You please do. Watch it though.
Do we expect the park rental, which is reflected under shelter rent, to go up or down?
I think we need to talk about that at a future board meeting and change the ordinance. I would like to see that rental go up.
Mhm.
I think we have kind of a gym down there, and I don't think we charge near enough for it.
That's fine. So we can leave the revenue blank for now because, or that line of the revenue blank, because the parks never has a positive revenue cash flow. It's always supported by the general fund. Parks donations, we tend to get a couple $100 a year, so leave that in there. So now we're down to expenses. Well, we have salaries and seasonal wages for mowing in the summer. FICA, IPERs are already predetermined from what we did earlier tonight. So that then takes us down to training.
Which won't his application, his chemical application, won't that somewhat fall under parks?
Yes.
Yeah.
How
Do we
much
know
is
how
that
much that
typically?
is? I don't know.
Let's see.
Tony's class every year is the $35.
Okay.
Is there, I'm assuming there's a certification test.
So does that mean we need to double that because there'll be two of them?
Mm-hmm.
We budgeted 100, we've only spent 70 if that's the case.
Well, we haven't spent anything, have we?
Not yet.
No, all right, true. We'll spend 70.
Yeah. Sounds summer yet. Can't treat nothing.
We'll spray that snow.
Is this a number that you'll come back to us on, Jameson?
That's what I'm looking at right now. Certification fees for qualifying public applicators are $15 for a 3-year certification.
He doesn't have to have any other, Chris won't have to have any other like training or certification than just that $15.
He studies, and they could take they have to go down and take a class, or not a class, a test,
Well, this just, it's that is.
but I'm not sure what the test costs.
Okay.
Hold on just a second, because then you're talking about, this would be commercial. Oh, no, public official and state agencies. Those qualifying for public applicator license are exempt from paying the $25 annual license fee. However, the license must be renewed each year. Certification fees for qualifying public applicator are $15 for 3-year certification.
$30.
Yeah.
Tony and Chris.
Yeah.
So for 100,
Leave it at 100.
100 again this year?
Yep.
Okay. Building maintenance and repair, we spent 10,000 a couple years ago. We budgeted 2,000. The 10,000 we spent was because of derecho damage.
Which in turn should be reimbursed by FEMA in the end.
Yeah,
I would keep it at 2,000.
2,000.
Because I think there's going to be more things that need to be either A, brought up to code or be fixed.
Well, like paint on the
Well,
church stand that's peeling.
we,
Deb,
we know that we're
the
going to have a fee for the
repairing the playground equipment down there, would that be building maintenance and repair or grounds maintenance and repair?
It's either that or equipment.
Or equipment
Yeah,
further
'cause
down?
we
Okay,
did do our budget, but we weren't sure where things were gonna fall under,
Yeah.
you know, what they wanna do. They did hold a meeting. They do have numbers.
so
Never mind, we're not here.
well, you should be, we're on the parks budget right now.
There we
Yeah,
go.
you should be here.
Hey, how much does certification cost for applicator license? Or the test?
The
Okay,
website only
that's
says 15.
It says 15.
Does that
on
sound
the
right?
website.
Keith,
For
Yeah.
$15 for a 3-year license.
does that sound right?
Absolutely. I give her the bills.
That wasn't believable.
I give her the bill. Hey, they should give her the bills.
We'll figure it out next year when we come in and have to do a budget adjustment.
Know of any building maintenance that needs to be done next fiscal year, Tony? You're not gonna get out of here.
No.
Yeah, you shouldn't have came in
Not
now.
off the top of my head, other than
How about grounds, maintenance? Is that, mowing? Or is that actually doing some,
Repair.
Tree planting.
that would probably doing stuff, I would imagine. And I don't have anything planned, but well, she's not anymore. You gotta ask
Jody,
them what their hopes and dreams are.
well, you attended the meeting and helped them, didn't you?
No, they didn't tell me they had a meeting.
Oh,
oh, now the truth comes out. 'Cause yes, we had this discussion at the meeting. Good to know. Good to know.
I guess I should have invited Tony to the party.
That-
Actually, I wasn't
oh,
there. I was
wait.
at a
You were
funeral.
gone.
So, but I did call
She called
in.
and
in.
it's,
I did call in.
She
and it's the
absolutely
chair's
called in.
responsibility, so it's Jody's fault.
There we go.
I'm not blaming Jody just because she's not
I'm not
here.
blaming Jody.
I'm not doing that. You go right ahead,
You
mister.
won't get supper tonight.
Yeah. Oh.
Seems like
Otherwise-
they already ate.
Parks wise, other than what they would want to do, I don't see anything, out of the norm of what we usually spend due, unless, Mother Nature decides to just bend me over and let me have it.
Vehicle repair, probably, that'd be the mowers, the truck. We're not, the truck's relatively new, and the old truck, is
Cross your fingers.
if it goes bad, it goes out.
Well, it depends on what and how much and everything.
You
Mowers
had
and tractors. and-
vehicle repair at 3,000 2 years ago, about 7,000 last year. You're budgeted 3,000 this year. You've spent 2,000. So
I'd say that-
Split the difference,
let's say-
5,000.
Oh, that or Jay
No.
at 3,000.
Don't like your math at all.
I know. You're not helpful.
operational equipment repair. Is that mowers, Deb? Operational equipment, or is that tools?
That all looks like mowers, blades,
Okay,
parts for the zero turn, fire extinguishers.
132 years ago, less than 600 last year. We've spent about 600 this year already.
But only budgeted 200.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
we
I'm
budgeted
thinking we need to
200.
raise that one
Yeah,
a
you
little
know.
bit.
Sometimes we guess right, sometimes we
Yeah.
guess wrong.
700.
I'd say, yeah, 600, 700.
600.
Okay,
Now
600.
to make do.
Darn it, I'm
Sharpen
writing in
those
bed,
blades.
people.
Get the file out.
Utilities, we can figure that out. Professional services.
Yeah, what
This
is
would be Parks and Open Space Committee decision. Chemicals, that's what you put on the grass, right?
Yes. I
$100,
would
$1,000, $600.
say it looks like we're probably on track for the 1,000.
Equipment for the parks, this would be maintenance of equipment. We'll deal with that. The Parks Committee would have input on that. Operating supplies, toilet paper?
Well, yeah,
What are your operating supplies?
I never take out your packets for you.
Quit pointing at me.
She shook her head at toilet paper.
Yeah.
Paper towels, toilet paper,
I mean,
cleaning.
it's a mess.
700, 900,
Because,
700,
I like to put
700
them in
already this year. So you
Yeah,
bought
I
all,
believe
you bought
we
all
need-
your toilet paper at Sam's Club this year, and you have a great big pile of it, right?
Well, Sam's Club doesn't have as quite as cheap as stuff as we buy.
Is it the black?
Weed eater line.
Oh.
Weed eater line is what?
Yeah.
Just a lot of weed eaters.
Trash
What they
bags.
decided, okay.
So 1,000,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the sense doesn't, so this might be what they
Posts.
decided.
and signs, that's a Parks and Open Space issue. paying for the vehicle and any other capital equipment that you can think of.
Either the vehicle or capital equipment, you're gonna have to throw Park's chunk of the new backhoe in there.
Yeah, that's a discussion
I thought that was
that
on.
council's gonna have. My recommendation is to pay for it out of cash on hand, and then it's a piece of equipment that's gonna last 15 years. And so take the cost over 15 years and as an amortization schedule, and then take that, split it into the 4, and every year
Okay,
put money into a capital account so that 15 years from now we can replace it.
down the road, the money's there.
Has it hit the US yet?
It did, I've been told December 14th.
They're driving it from California.
Exactly.
It's gonna have 10,000 hours on it by the time it gets there.
I don't know, it'd be on its, what, 6th or 7th oil change maybe, by the time it gets here.
Take a state.
Okay, Tony.
I don't think they do quite like, Amazon or UPS where you get a tracking number and you just punch it in the computer and can see how many times your package got close to Maxwell and sent
And
that
then went
away.
away.
All righty.
See ya.
You should have already had your Amazon and be here by now.
That's true.
It would also show up at the
Hey, it
box
was
office.
more days during
Pieces.
I was not in attendance, but I was on the phone for that.
There's
We
50,000
do
boxes
have
put together
some
yourself.
Parks numbers that we could probably
Use?
use, but I'm wondering if Jody doesn't have the.
Jody should have the good one.
Jody has. the good-
Jody said that D has it,
Oh, okay. D has the good ones then.
D has our good numbers.
so
Yeah, because these
I
might be Megan
can
numbers.
take, I can
I
take.
like Megan numbers.
I know.
These are nice.
Megan's
Well,
numbers are
let's
fiction.
go.
Let's talk about Megan's numbers.
If we go back up to grounds and maintenance,
We're start all over.
if we go
Is
through
that the first one?
Denny to do tree removal, what was it? $200 a tree, approximately.
Yeah, wholesale price, $200 a tree.
And
Those were about 2 inches in diameter, 6 foot tall.
so we're not starting with like small.
We're not, no.
No,
You wouldn't want
No.
anything larger than a 6-foot width anyway.
right, especially 2 inches, it doesn't seem very
Say 8 or
strong.
9 of them this first year.
Strong, eight or nine removed.
8 removed.
Yep, the ones that are posing a liability right now, shelters,
Or
fences.
fall on something.
Yeah, the ones that are just dead.
Yeah.
And how
Okay.
would you want those replaced? Would you want them replaced by one tree, or would you want them replaced by 2 trees? So if you're doing that, so that is
I would
$1,600.
want them replaced with not less than 2, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So 8 out means 16 in.
8 out, 16 in.
So $3,200.
Here's this.
So I want to make sure that we put that in there.
Yeah.
What's this quote?
We have,
Deb, do you know if Dee's notes or anything are sitting over there? You probably already had me.
Does she have a file that says parks and open space?
what we can do is we can go with your notes and I'll check with Jody.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
make adjustments and
Okay.
report back to the council. So the grounds maintenance, we had budgeted $4,000. And so if we keep that $4,000 and add 3,200, that takes us up to 7,200, which covers the trees and normal $4,000. So where do you want to start?
They have,
They can have $50,000.
Parks budget went up
I
a lot this
believe we're gonna go
year.
with the blue. They have 5,000 and that included, updates to the trash cans and the disc
That's
golf
ground
course.
maintenance?
I believe so. Right here, repair part. Yep. Yep,
Okay, so we're already above that, we're at 7,200.
okay.
Did that 5,000 include the trees?
No,
No,
No.
no.
no,
So you went 5,000 plus.
plus the trees,
Yes, please.
Oh,
8,200.
8,200.
okay. Next line.
Vehicle repair,
We got
Stayed the
3,000,
same.
you got
Stay the same,
3,000.
yeah.
I have 600, you have 500.
I like your number.
Nice,
That's-
nice even rounded number.
That's because
I like
we
it.
haven't balanced the budget.
Yeah, I may not, we'll
That's
balance it
coming.
later and we'll
That's
figure it out.
Balance it, not in parks.
3,300 for utilities.
Yes, and
Oh. Great.
that went up 300. I believe
Thank
there was
you.
discussion on the Christmas trees.
I thought
National
maybe there
market.
would be, well, so here was my thinking on this. I was trying to probe them because I feel like the first market, or maybe it was the second market, was during COVID. So maybe you didn't quite have as many little festivities as you were going to. So therefore, we might need more to have more festivities.
Yes, yeah.
So
It went up to 3,300.
and we're hoping that's enough because if electricity goes up,
Right, and it has the ability to.
yes, that's
BYOG. Bring your own-
electricity.
Bring your own generator.
Generators. Yeah. That works, except for not for like the actual like
Donations.
their
and
stuff that
things.
they have to do, because that has to be plugged into the park.
Chemicals is where you're at. They had 1,200.
Chemicals, okay. Fat fingered.
Again, because we thought more for the trees
Right.
with the new
Sounds
plantings.
reasonable. 1,000 for equipment.
I don't know the reasoning on the jump on that, but I'm sure.
It's not much of a jump.
It's
2
not.
years ago was 900. Last year was 800.
There may be I'm just thought about this. There may be an extra amount that has to go in. I think we have to bring someone in at some point to look at the wiring down there. Because I heard through the grapevine that it may not have been done up to code. So
Well, probably not up to
band
today's
shell
code.
is not.
I was gonna say, is it still the same old wiring from
no, I
when my
think they
dad put
had
stuff
they
in?
had somebody come in and do wiring
Okay.
a few years ago, 5 or 10 years ago, I think.
Down at the park,
And I think it's the
person who's always
box.
done the wiring down there is a licensed electrician that well,
We can forget that this conversation ever happened.
trying to remember his name. God, he's done wiring for the city at the park for years and years. But if you said that somebody looked at it and said it wasn't up to code, maybe we had some weirdo come in on a one-time thing.
I think
No, we always hire, the
so.
last 13 years we've hired electricians.
I thought they said there's some sort of wiring liability down there.
Could be,
So,
because codes change and so things may have.
so just keep that in the back of your mind. Might have
So
to do a budget.
that is
How much?
under where, if we had to do some rewiring down there, what line item would that come out of, Deb?
Would that be utilities?
No, because utilities is what
I
we
would-
pay for.
Building
Expense.
maintenance.
Depending on what the wiring was for. If it's for the buildings, I would put it in buildings. If it's for the
Campground.
campground or things like that, then I would put it under ground maintenance.
So do you remember what it was that
I
needed?
don't remember. I think this conversation happened like a year ago or something.
I remember you saying something once, but I
Don't
don't
Well, I'll tell you what, let's put it, I have a column for notes. Let's put another couple $1,000 under building maintenance. And with a note that says it's for rewiring. And if it ends up being undergrounds, then it'll just get spent out of a different line item.
You haven't had anybody that has had any issues plugging them down there, have you?
Not at all.
Okay.
Band wise, no. Everybody else uses a generator.
Sorry, we got off topic. I think we're down to operating supplies now.
Operating supplies, $800. And
We haven't
posts
played
and
the service
signs,
yet.
2,000. This was a council initiative to put posts around the park so people couldn't drive in it. And then the council changed the initiative to put cameras instead of posts.
Which is a
So
lot safer.
Is it?
Some kid
Yeah,
riding their bike through
if
there
it
and
works.
catch the wire.
Yeah,
If it works.
We should put signs up too, that these locations are being monitored by live video.
That signs are probably as much good as anything.
We'll just look for the cameras then. and
So-
put the cameras and take them down.
Just
Right.
joking.
We'll move
we
them.
have a line
If they can't
item
find them, they
for
still think they're there.
posts and
They're giving a
signs.
lot of credit to these kids.
And we
Do we
have,
want to take the cameras out of that line item instead?
we can,
The 1,500, you mean?
So I will say security cameras, park securing
which
Park.
was what, $600?
from,
Yeah, but if you're
Vandalism.
careful, you can get them for about half that price.
Good, get it for half because that's where we want our projected lights for outside to come out of.
and the committee wanted to have $2,000 for that.
And does that go with our trail signs that we?
That's the county's paying for that.
Oh. Okay, even better.
Yay!
And vehicle purchase, 42, capital for the park, 0. So we've gone up $10,000 in the park budget.
I think so too.
We'll see how much we like it when we're
Yeah.
arm wrestling on the balancing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Up your
there's
fees
other areas.
For,
Well,
Yeah.
up your fees too, buddy.
Your fees too, buddy.
Oh, getting giddy.
There's other areas we can.
Deborah's just shaking her head.
we need to update that market agreement.
Yeah, oh, speaking of, that could be discussed in your shelter rent too. That'll be coming, right? Or if that's in that, I don't know if that's,
I don't know, I don't know if we would do that as a park donation since you use the whole
wherever
Park
wherever
versus-
you wanna put it.
shelter.
What are we
We
talking about?
don't want it in the park.
It's based on-
It's rental.
Well, there's parks donations and then there's shelter rent, so it goes into the same bucket.
If you listen to what I said,
Oh, go ahead.
Ooh.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
anything that we rent down there goes into shelter rent.
Oh, perfect.
Perfect.
That makes things easier. I should have listened to you, Deb. I apologize.
And maybe that should be named park rental instead of shelter rental, but the majority of the money is
in
from the shelter.
Yeah.
But if we have camping, or if somebody wants to reserve one of the shelter, other shelters, and pays the $10 fee, so that we will go down and kick people out, you know.
Side note, if we have a disc golf tournament, whoever is putting on that disc golf tournament, can we charge them for rent, or we can't because it's not in our ordinance? Because if they do a tournament, you're not gonna want Joe Schmo off the street to come in and play. You're gonna wanna make sure that's all secured down. Food for thought.
We certainly could have a reservation fee for virtually any area down there.
For events.
If
only.
we are going to fix up the horseshoe, do we want to have a reservation fee to make sure that if they have a tournament that nobody comes in and does anything? Do we want to have a reservation fee for the sand volleyball? It would apply to many of the areas down there.
It's just like at just for park, anybody can go up to those buildings and sit down and have a picnic.
Yep.
But if you wanted to reserve it for certain
Yeah.
times or birthday parties.
Reservation fee.
Okay.
We are on garbage.
Garage.
Doug and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out this garbage, water, and sewer. And I believe we have come to the conclusion that see if I can find it.
You and me both.
That we asked Tiana to take a look at, make a projection. We analyzed it, and made projections, and we believe that there are 336 customers that pay the $17 a month, and 31 people who have extra bins, and so they're paying $10 a month on the extra bin, which gives a projected revenue of $72,260. When you look at the expense side, we may have a fuel surcharge.
What is that, gasoline for their trucks to get
Diesel.
here?
Diesel,
I think it's over $3.
if diesel is over $3, then the contract says that they can charge 3%.
In the
Oh,
2
yeah.
months, they had one pickup in November and December. The 2 months were 2.46% and 2.8%. So they're approaching 3%, which is kind of the number we set.
If they have the 3% fuel charge, that's $2,055. Resource recovery costs $9,700. We do spring cleanup. Last year only cost $800, but we typically set aside $1,800 because some spring cleanups have cost more. And the garbage contract is the $68,500 for, well, no, that's revenue, that's not expense. How much do we actually end up paying for each container, Deb? Is that's specified in the contract someplace?
Oh, I got that.
Doug has it.
That has everything.
$13.50 a month per card.
Whether it's the first or second.
Extra card, $5.
So if we take 1350 times 336 plus 31 times you said
5 on the second.
5, and then we have a dumpster that we pay for.
$275 per dump plus disposal costs for 30-yard roll
Plus 275.
per dump. Yeah,
And they dump it every month, every week, don't they? Or Let's assume that they do, 275 per dump,
52.
and we multiply all that times 12, right?
Mhm.
God, math is wonderful.
You gotta do 275 by 52, right? Because they dump it each week, or do they just do it once a month?
Each week.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So
So
52.
that would be 4 times 275.
Right.
Come close.
That'd be a little less.
4.5,
4.3.
4.3, okay. 4.3
Should be 11.
times 275. Multiply, add before you.
Order of operations,
Yes.
14.3, is that what you said?
So that comes out to be about $56,434.
I was gonna say that other number didn't look as good as this one.
No, I didn't.
Let me hit you with the numbers we got from Craig. You said
It
56,000.
is with some good stuff,
Hmm?
Doug. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Just getting
56,434.
I see.
Getting a little hungry.
The first week was $1,150, the 1 November pickup. So if you take 1150 times 52 weeks, you get 59.8. And we decided to put a little bad debt in. We ended up with $61,000. If you
And that included the fuel surcharge.
Yes. If you take December's, the bill from December, which was $4,807, including the surcharge, and multiply that by 12, you end up with 60,000. So it's going to be between 60,800, 200, and 61,000 ballpark. If we look at what they did, the 1 week in November and then the month of December. So somewhere around 60,000, 61,000, which is gone.
So 61 instead of 56.4. Well, 56.4 plus the fuel charge would be 58. And you're at 61, right?
61, yeah.
So I wonder what the difference is.
We put in a 2% add debt. When you and I were figuring numbers, I put that in here too.
Oh,
That's 1,200.
so yeah, okay. So times, you said 2%?
That's what we did, yeah. Or that's
1.02. $57,560 plus 2,000, 59, 6, close enough. So our expenditures would be 71,000 and our revenues would be 73,000. If we increased, nope, if we leave our rates the same at $17 and $10 for the extra. One thing that we could do is whether you have one or two, it's $17. But we're really, sounds like we're really making money on that second one anyway. We're charging 10 and they're only charging us 5. positive cash flow. I'd say let's leave it for a decision when we're balancing the budget. Sound reasonable?
Yep.
Because water's also a positive cash flow.
Yay.
We have revenue of 170,000 and expenses of 139. And so the extra just goes into a capital reserve for water main breaks or replacing water lines. And Doug and I went through the line items, and we think that we adjusted them reasonably, right, Doug?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with where they are.
So the recommendation of the enterprise committee is that we use these numbers. Sewer's not as rosy. And part of this is that we need to, Tiana got COVID. And so she's getting better, but we weren't able to spend a lot of time with her over the phone because she couldn't talk. And sign language over a phone just doesn't work very well. So
Should have FaceTime.
Zoom meeting.
Yeah. Well, you use sign language, right? The revenue, according to her projections, is 308,500, and the expenses are 326,000. So we are underwater about $20,000 based even upon her higher rates.
Not really underwater though, are we?
No,
Under
we're
sewage.
in the we're in the
It's
bracket.
worse. I wish it
We're
was
in the
underwater.
Good point. Thank you. I needed that.
Or deep
So
in.
Doug and I need to really get on the phone with Tiana, go over all of her projections and see where the problem lies.
Do we have the backhoe or any portion of it? And we don't have
No.
that figured either, so it'd be even worse,
Well, yes and no, yes.
potentially.
And no. When we were working on this, we were putting about $29,000 because it was $33,000 on equipment. Take 4,000 out of that, so about $29,000 for the sewer's share of the backhoe. Which if you take $29,000 times 4, that's the total cost of the backhoe. We were getting it all paid in 1 year, so that didn't work. And what I would like the council to consider, we're gonna pay for the backhoe this year. We pay for it out of cash. And then we charge back the parks, roads, water and sewer, 1/4 of 1/15 of the cost. It's gonna amortize, we're gonna amortize the backhoe over 15 years. And each one of those would get 1/4 of the cost because that piece of equipment's used pretty much equally among those 4 services. So at the end of 15 years, we would have paid ourselves back. It may not buy a new backhoe, but the cash will be there so that at least we won't be trying to scrape together money. Now, we could increase it using an interest rate. A lot of times governments will do that. A cost of money or something, future value of money, whatever it's called. But at a minimum, if we're spending 29 times 4 is
116.
116, and we are spreading that over 15 years. It's about $8,000 a year divided in 4 parts, so that'd be 2,000. The
Per
department, which is affordable. And I'll let our bankers figure out what is the best. Right, Megan?
Yep.
Inflation.
It's a real thing this year.
It's a thing.
Maybe we'll get more stimulus checks and we'll just pay it off the stimulus check.
Yeah. There we go.
Is that even in reality? I mean,
Well,
come on now.
anything's a reality nowadays, isn't it?
Who knows? Doesn't have to be logical.
No.
We'll stay home and draw stimulus checks.
But no matter what we do, we're already in the crapper as far as the sewer is concerned, and you add another 2,000 to that instead of 20, instead of 18,000, we're $20,000 in the hole. We're going to have to adjust the rates there.
Well, it's
We
better
may
than
not
5,000.
need to adjust the rates on water.
Honestly, this is a lot better than I thought it would be. I'm not saying it's good by any means, but I'm just
What,
saying.
the budget so far?
Well, that
Sewer
too,
part.
but I think even the sewer part.
Well, the sewer part has the rates going up from what it currently is at, let's see, sewer rates, $55 for fixed, up to $61. So it's going up $5 a month. And okay, $6 a month, and the variable rate goes from $1.87 to $4.55.
That's the big bite.
That is the big way.
Well, yes.
But you have to
yes
have water, I
and no.
mean, and sewer, so.
It increases it by a factor of 4, but the variable is such a small part of the bill.
True.
Right.
Yeah, the base is what's the big.
Yeah.
Steve, you do see on that page at the 4,200, the second to the bottom number there, we've got the new pickup and backhoe. We already budgeted some money in there.
Yes. That's part of the reason why we are in the crapper.
Yeah.
Because that was not in Tiana's earlier estimate.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So this gets the major departments. If everybody's comfortable with this, we can take these numbers, put them in our budget worksheets, which then we'll need to finish filling out for other line items in the budget, and that will then tell us how much, how out of balance we are. The decision will be how much of local option sales tax do we want to use to support activities like last year. we use local option sales tax to support the library, I thought. Or it could have been fire and EMS, one of those. But as a council, we decide if there is, we can only use local option sales tax for community betterment. And so is the library community betterment? Is the fire department and EMS community betterment?
Is the parks? Yep.
So
We don't have a fire department, but we have a hell of a fantastic park.
We have a fire
I know, I'm just
department.
saying.
We have a fire department. I'm saying parks is a great one too.
I think we can, I can take the numbers from tonight, put them in the other, and Doug and I will get with Tiana and figure out whether or not garbage, water, and sewer in her model and our budget agree, and then I can get that out to everybody.
Check with Miss Jody.
Check with Jody. These are supposedly the right numbers.
Oh, great.
That's what Deb gave me.
Okay.
And he has Jody written it.
Yeah, because I think I ended up scribbling my numbers out because mine
you're
were.
right.
No, my numbers were off to the side, scribbled out, and then I put the
oh.
real number they
Oh,
decided on.
Got it.
No, it has different numbers.
Any other discussion? Yes, go ahead.
Parks. We discussed last time, I told the group that I would work on opening a trust account for the parks because the capital fund for parks does not work like it does capital city. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna work to open a trust account. Deb, I know that we've tried that before, but whatever you need from me, you just let me know.
So you're gonna open a city trust account for parks?
Is that what was discussed? I wrote that down.
Or are you
That's what
going
I'm doing.
to continue it under Mark?
We have both. So the mark is open. There's money in there.
Okay, so that's more of like if we had a Friends of the Parks.
Yes.
Right,
That's
Yeah.
the Mark
right.
one.
Right.
Now they're talking about a trust one so that if they should have a surplus of their budget, it can go into the trust account
For
specific items because
like big stuff.
they
Like the
yeah
fire
they want
department trust
yes,
account. And
right,
EMS.
yes because they want a big.
Is that an actual account or is that an account on our books?
I don't know.
Would
That's
be
a
an
good
account on our
question.
books.
The account on, that's what I,
So what's
If
this?
it's not an account on our books, then it's just gonna be part of the general fund balance. So you never know that it's
Nothing's
there.
earmarked, yeah.
Doing too much of this is going to create problems, long-term problems for the city, because you start squirreling away pennies in this account, pennies in that account, and so forth, and you can't spend that because it's earmarked for that as opposed to this.
So what happens to the parks surplus if there is one at the end of the budget year?
It's general fund, and it's just part of the general fund, and the next year it's going to be available as cash on hand. We wanted to do this development up north. Well, we're doing that cash out of hand.
Sure.
If it was all divided up into a lot of different accounts, we would be able to do it.
Right.
Is it reasonable to put money aside for a specific thing? Yes. That becomes a project, just like we're putting money aside for Baldwin Avenue or the storm sewer. If we want to create a project account for replacing the shelter or replacing the bandstand, then we create a capital project account for it. And we start putting money aside every year for it. And to say that we're going to take all the excess money out of parks and put it in there, it's not the same as, for me, it's not the same as fire and EMS, which is a joint concern with the townships. And it's not the same as library, which has a separate board.
Right.
Those all have trust account where the pennies that we give them can be put aside. Out of the parks budget tonight, we dealt with gasoline, we dealt with sharpening the borer blades. There's just a plethora of things. If we want to put money aside for some capital, we should identify what money we want to put aside, budget it, and then move it every year into that trust account. And the balance of the unspent money stays in the general fund.
Kind of what they. That's what we
So
were
we should-
talking about, but so it sounds like what we didn't realize is that it can't be like a
Right.
trust account like
Right.
the other
It should be a
entities.
capital project.
It needs
Well,
to be a
all those
project
others
account.
are, those trust accounts really are general fund capital accounts. That's all they are.
Okay.
If you look at the, well, we don't have any of it. Didn't we have to renumber a bunch of these, Deb?
Yeah.
With starting with a zero?
Yep.
According to the state
Right.
auditor, any fund that starts with a zero is a general fund account. And we discipline ourselves that we don't touch it for anything other than a specific purpose.
Right.
But it's still a general fund account. And so
Sure.
a future council could say, well, let's take on Washington Township's $100,000 and spend it on lollipops. You know. They might go to jail, but
So
they
does
could do
that,
it.
so does that potentially mess up our budget numbers if that's what we're trying to do is open a capital project account? And we just budgeted for all this, now we don't have any money to budget for the account, or do
Well,
we have to go back and
when
rebudget?
you say you're going to put, just like the fire department said, and EMS said that they were going to put aside $4,000 into their capital fund account for future purchase of fire trucks.
Mhm.
Well, we budget $4,000, and during the year, at the end of the year, if they haven't overspent someplace else, and that $4,000 is still left, it gets transferred over.
Okay,
The same thing would be true on parks. We'd say, okay, we're going to set aside $4,000 for future replacement of the shelter and bandstand. You know, we budget $4,000 in parks. At the end of the year, if we aren't over budget and we still have that $4,000, then the $4,000 by council action is transferred into a fund, zero whatever. And that just becomes part of our cash balance earmarked for that purpose.
that's what they want.
Yes.
Did we give up on the food?
Did I
stand?
explain that correctly, Deb? You're the expert.
We have
Sure.
not given up on it. We just feel there's a couple other priorities
Okay.
down there.
I think you just want to go home.
Maybe.
I think
You're willing to
bandstands,
agree to anything.
bathrooms was another,
Sounds good to me.
Bandstand's
Oh,
number
okay.
one.
bandstands number one.
Going home sounds good?
Oh,
Okay.
Other than that, there's only one item left on the agenda.
I motion to adjourn.
Motion by Megan,
Hey, maybe.
Second.
Second by Lauren. Discussion. Hearing none, I think we can actually start with Lauren this time.
Yes.
Megan,
Yes.
Doug,
Yes.
Ken, you still with us?
He's on the beach.
He's on the beach.
Steve.
Yes.
We are adjourned. You want to press end on that?
Yeah.
Please.